All right, good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock on May 3rd, 2021. Welcome to the Newfane Selectboard meeting. We have Shelley Huber, Ann Golob, Katy Johnson-Atlin, with Juanetta Powling, Doris Knechtel, Katy Bristol, Austin Rice from BCTV, Jane Douglas, Jay Wilson, Melissa Brown. I'm not sure who. Chris White. Thank you all for being here. And the first thing is the additions and amendments to the agenda. All right, and we'll move on to the approval of the April 19th regular meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the April 19th regular meeting minutes.
I second. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? That would be because you weren't here, so you would abstain.
Abstain.
Yes. All right. Moving on to the April 19th Board of Liquor Control meeting minutes. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
And they pass. Moving along to Jay Wilson, our road foreman.
Hello. So the bridge work on Monroe Bridge has started back up, and they've switched lanes and working on the other side. They've got the pavement peeled up from the other side now. Depending on how long it takes them to do that, they're planning on doing the rubber membrane and the paving on the side that you're driving on now, I believe, first, and then they'll switch everything over and do the other side. The Depot Road box culvert, we've got the new easement with the new owners' names, and so we're submitted to V-Trans for approval. And once approved, Bob Fisher will try again to get the bank to sign off on it. Sand salt shed, the state made a few recommendations to the engineer, and they'll be incorporated into the final bid document. It looks like it'll go out to bid in December, more than likely. They feel it's too late in the season to put it out to bid now. All the contractors have their work lined up, so they're recommending to wait till winter. We had our second hazard mitigation plan meeting 2 weeks ago with a couple of additional people joining, and Margot from Wyndham Regional Commission will be working on it, and she'll be requesting additional information. It may be she may need stuff from the listers. Could be anybody. So at some point over the next few months, you may get calls of people looking for information. Green up today, we picked up 200 and I believe it was 10 bags of rubbish, 17 tires and a bunch of metal. The tires, I think, were less than some years, but I believe the 200 bags might even been a little bit more. I'm not sure. V-Trans awarded us 2 more grants. So we got a class 2 structures grant. So we got $175,000 to go towards the cleaning and the greasing of the beams on the Monroe Bridge. And then we got $175,000 in a class 2 paving grant to do the work on the South Wardsboro Road from West Street to where the dirt starts on the South Wardsboro Road.
What was that? Well,
Paving on the South Wardsboro Road from West Street to where it turns to dirt.
oh, just to repave it? Is that?
We have to, some of it will be reclaimed where they'll dig it up where it's so bad along with Wall Hill and so forth. That'll actually be ground up completely and then repaved. So that could possibly go out this summer. The bridge grant won't get used till next year because the town has to come up with the money for the other part of that one. So that's, with any luck, we can put that other one to bid. We can't do it till after July 1st, but after July 1st, we can put that one out to bid. So, and I think that's it.
Town portion is likely to be?
Pardon?
Do you know what the town portion is likely to be?
Of the Green Iron Bridge, I mean, of the Monroe Bridge,
Uh-huh.
it's 329,000 is the total for the cleaning and greasing of the beams. And they gave us 175,000.
So we need to come up with
Yep.
104,000 to 220. 300. So it's 329? I got
329,
Okay. Got the wrong number. now.
154, right?
For, yeah,
And I think that's all I've got. My report was half done when the fire started, so that's all I can think of right at the moment.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jay.
Sure.
can I just know about the green
Yes.
update? So I just wanted to thank everybody who was involved with the green up day. And I was part of the South Wardsboro Road and the cleanup coordinator. And that's just like awesome up in there. So I really appreciate everyone's effort for doing it all the way through the town. And just acknowledge that it was a great effort. Thank you, Jay, for picking up everything.
Sure.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept
I
the
second,
road foreman commissioner report.
and I second.
Is there any further discussion on the road foreman's report? All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And moving on to the administrative assistance report.
A letter has been drafted to V-Trans asking if they will consider implementing the safety recommendations from the road safety audit report for the village of Newfane. That's on the table in front of you.
What's the NSD?
Newfane Select Board.
Oh, us.
So we're gonna do her report in sections, so she's asking,
Yeah, so let's deal with this, yeah. What is this, a letter?
yes. When Jay had done the road safety audit, they were looking for a letter to send to V-Trans to move forward with the recommendations.
Yeah, yeah. Following two items were discussed at the safety establish no passing zone. You might want to read that, please.
The letter says to Mark, after reviewing the road safety audit report for Route 30 in the village of Newfane, we would ask that you consider implementing the following recommendation from the report. 1, dynamic striping at the entrances to Newfane Village. 2, additional 30-mile-per-hour sign at mile point 3.296. 3, evaluate hidden drive signs for 631 and 638 Vermont Route 30. 4, request locations at each end of Newfane Village for town-installed radar feedback signs. The following 2 items were discussed at the safety audit meeting, but not written into the report. 1, establish a no passing zone for the Newfane Village. 2, addition of pedestrian caution signs. The town of Newfane is also applying for a pedestrian scoping study grant to assist us with locating crosswalks and developing a plan for sidewalk improvements. Best regards, Newfane Select Board.
So my question to Jay, is this part of the federal monies?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So the V-Trans said if it's in the road safety audit, those things they could implement now.
Yeah,
But scoping grant would look at pedestrian safety and bike safety in the village. And that will take a while. That's
Yeah.
kind of a long process, but this is more immediate stuff that they can be doing sooner.
awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you. What's the name of that program? It's money's coming down through.
ARPA from the federal government,
The what?
from the federal government.
Yeah,
ARPA, American Recovery Plan.
okay. So that's part of the American Recovery Plan funds. Just for people to know.
So looking for a motion to authorize myself as chair to sign on behalf of the select board. You can make corrections on
I make a motion for Angela Sanborn to sign as the chair. This authorization for request for funding.
it after corrections are made.
Second it?
I second.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 This past 2 weeks, I've completed 2 BCL trainings, one for managing conflict of interest and the other one was for public records. I attended the second meeting for implementing and writing the new hazard mitigation plan. I believe this is a good start for Newfane and what we as a town should consider addressing for our future safety concerns. As your administrative assistant, I provided the DRB with Zoom assistance to hold their public hearing on Wednesday, April 28th. I set up and provided Zoom assistance for the abatement of taxes on Thursday, the 29th for the Board of Abatements. I have included a letter from Wyndham Regional Commission with their plans to readopt the current regional plan. As select board members, you only need to be aware of this reasons for readopting their current plan.
Stop for a second. All right. Did you have a comment?
Managing conflict of interest and 2 areas for public records. Those are for her?
Yeah.
Those trainings that you did were for yourself, correct?
I
Yes.
attended the first one, managing conflicts. Carol and I both attended the public records. It has to do with retention and what we have to make available for public record.
Oh, Carol Hasselback? Okay. Was that online?
It was, we did it on the computer.
Zoom?
Yeah.
Yep. And then the new hazard mitigation plan, I believe it's a good start for Newfane. Consider addressing for future safety concerns. Safety as far as, can you just tell us a little bit of what the mitigation plan is or hazard
Well,
mitigation?
Wyndham Regional is rewriting the hazard mitigation plan, which has to be done every 5 years to make us eligible or to keep us eligible for federal grants when there's a flood or a natural disaster.
Okay.
By addressing certain areas in town and identifying those, we're able to get a larger percentage if something occurs.
Of funding.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you, any areas that are specific that you want to mention that might be looked at?
I think that's probably best left to the writer. Jay mentioned her in his report.
Margot.
So
There were some areas of town that were mentioned, up by Cushing Flats was one. Jay, are there any, that's the only one that comes,
Wiswall Hill at the 4-way intersection at the top.
that's right.
We talked about the village. So I don't know which one whether she'll have all of them or how she's going to prioritize them, but we'll have input as this goes along with Margot. So.
Okay. And the other ones are just Zoom assistance.
Okay.
At the April 19th meeting, I provided an email from Northeast Wilderness Trust and the Conservation Project asking for support from the Newfane Select Board. A draft of letter of support is available tonight, provided by the Northeast Wilderness Trust. I transferred this to the town stationery. Kind of like a form letter that they provided.
Okay, and this,
It'll go to the Montpelier.
what, this is this the new one, the Northeast Wilderness Trust?
It's the 111 acres out on Hunter Brook Road. It's similar to what Deb Luskin provided the information last summer down in Dummerston and up over the hill into Newfane.
Is that the same group that she's,
No,
no, it's a different thing, right? But it is the newer one that they're trying to
yes,
save or whatever.
correct.
Okay. So our support of it, do we know who else has supported it?
I don't know. Part of the information they provided us was taken from our own town plan on conservation,
Mm-hmm.
which is listed at the bottom.
And it's on Hunter Brook.
There's a map here.
There's a map, but
If
there's
you
no,
keep going, it's a little hard to know what it is.
yeah,
now.
there's no road names or anything.
Yeah,
So this is land that they own right now, I'm assuming, correct? Or they are trying to purchase it?
Preserve.
In the top of the paperwork, it mentions that the land by Beatrice Picard
Yeah.
was a gift to them, and they're looking to put it into a trust to maintain the conservation and open a niche in the regional protecting the wildlands.
Now, when that goes into a trust, they don't have to pay tax on it, correct? Or,
He indicates down here in the letter that that does not affect the town
property taxes?
property taxes.
Uh-huh. My only thought is that I really don't know who they are. And does it have to be signed by a certain time?
No, but it was followed up from the April 19th meeting, so I wanted to be prepared and have it ready for you tonight if you made a decision.
Mhm. And part of the planning goal for 2018 for our town plan is to preserve and improve the integrity of forest blocks, to maintain habitat connectors, wildlife corridors. So the planning so that large portions of a town and adjoining communities are left forested minimizes many of the detrimental effects of partialization of wildlife while sacrificing all the benefits to people that development often brings. I'm all for keeping
I think it's a good idea.
my
Mhm.
migration stuff as much as possible. If it's not, they're buying it and they're gonna keep it as a preserve.
Mhm. I think it's useful for everybody.
Mhm. Is there a motion to give me permission to sign this letter?
I'll make a motion for Angela to sign
I'll second.
in support.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Doris,
I'd like to be able to get a copy of that. from Mr. Jones.
yes, Monetta will make you a copy.
Just like that.
Do you want a signed copy?
No, no, no.
Okay. Excellent.
Welcome. Thank you.
Anything further on your report, Juanetta?
That's it. I've been busy.
Is there a motion to accept the administrative assistance report?
I make a motion to accept the report.
I second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And now we are to Melissa, the treasurer's report. Thank you for being here tonight.
So I didn't do a treasurer's report. I was just following up on the tax sale list and the delinquent tax policy.
Okay,
So we'll start with the tax policy. Has everybody had a chance to review it?
Yes. Oh, the tax policy, no, I apologize.
really.
I did not.
is there any changes to it, Melissa?
No, what I emailed you is the same as what I've got.
That you've had, yeah,
Yeah,
approved in the past, and there's no substantial changes that need to be added to it?
no, no.
Okay. So,
I think that, does anybody have any changes they'd like to see made to it or further review of it? Those that have reviewed it. What's that?
those who have reviewed it.
Those who have reviewed it, or if we'd like to move it to further review? Or is there a motion to accept that report as updated?
I make a motion to accept it as updated.
And this is the tax sale policy and procedure.
I'm sorry, if it was updated, then.
Was it updated?
I'm just reading what,
It says here it was updated. Was the,
There was no delinquent tax policy, so this is all new.
so we
Oh,
really
so
do have to
current
read it.
delinquent tax policy.
New.
Yeah,
Then I say, I apologize, but I haven't read it unless
Yeah.
other people have it already to vote on it. But
I've
I
read
say we put it over to the next meeting,
Yes.
so we all have a chance to review it.
What?
We will
Sure.
continue that till the next meeting.
Yes, sounds great. I'm sorry, Melissa.
So we will discuss that further on our May 17th meeting. And now we're, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, so are you postponing the tax sale list too, or?
Tax sale list, do you think?
So you need us to sign and approve or sign purchase and sales agreement?
No, you guys are the ones that ultimately decide about the list, which I think I gave Juanetta copies of everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you're looking for us to approve for you to go ahead.
With these 5 parcels?
Yeah,
So all these people, they haven't come forward with any kind of a program for payment, correct?
correct. The bottom 2 are the ones that we had already spoke about. The last 2 are the ones that, or no, excuse me. D215-1 and D287 are the 2 parcels where the owners have passed away.
So it's the top 3, correct?
Yeah, it's the top 2 and then the very last one.
That are going up for sale.
And nobody is following through with the payment plan or any type of?
The top one, I can't locate the guy whatsoever. He's just kind of missing in action and he never pays unless you put him in tax sale.
Okay.
The second one,
Mhm.
no payment plan has been followed.
Okay.
And then the one on the bottom, he won't make contact with me whatsoever.
Well, if they're not following through with what they're supposed to, it would make sense that that goes further into tax sale. And you've exhausted all efforts?
Yeah, I did have an agreement with the second one down, that if he paid at least the 2018 taxes and stuck with a payment plan, that I wouldn't pursue the tax sale with him. But I haven't seen that happen yet, so.
Hmm.
Well, I guess do we have to make a motion to accept
Yeah.
this?
I would make a motion to accept this and
Move forward?
proceed. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't do anything until you guys approve it.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion on these 3 parcels to be put into tax sale?
Why isn't it 5?
Because we already approved 2.
Oh, I see.
Well, she said 2 of them were
We can score,
deceased.
deceased in,
We've already done,
Yeah.
approved those.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion?
That's on the
That's all
table.
done? Okay.
All those in favor to proceed with the remaining 3 parcels to be put into tax sale, say aye.
I,
Ayes have it. So you'll let us know what we need to do next?
Yeah, I gotta forward everything to Bob Fisher and then he'll kind of take it from there.
Okay.
How long is the process?
And
Shelley has a
probably by June,
by
we're gonna
June?
do the tax sale. That's what Bob was pushing for, was June. And then somebody from the select board will have to be at the tax sale.
Now, do they have the right to be able to pay it up until that point?
They do have the right to pay it up and they'll probably end up incurring attorney fees at this point.
Does that make sense?
Or to get into a payment plan that's reasonable? Or they have to pay the total amount due?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the policy?
well, that's what you have to agree on her policy that she wrote.
Yeah, I was
Okay,
gonna say, we don't have a policy.
Doing the policy, you don't have a
Yeah.
policy established.
exactly. Well, we can follow up on the next
We'll
meeting,
follow
right?
up on that on May 17th, but in the meantime, the motion has been made and approved to go forward and start these 3 parcels.
So we have
Okay,
30-day notice in the newspaper of the tax sale. We need to approve that as well.
Today?
Yes.
okay.
If you're approving putting these into tax sale,
Yep,
So I make a
in
motion.
order to proceed correct, we'll have to post it in the paper for 30 days.
well, we don't have to do that yet. Bob will take care of all that and draft everything up.
Okay.
So we'll wait and hear
So
from
we'll-
you.
Yeah, because I gotta get Bob a lot of stuff and a lot of information and usually I research it and then just email it all to him, what he needs, tax bills, deeds and everything else.
so, Andrew, yes. So your tax policy, did you find that, with the help of VLTC, is it? Village, town and the League of Cities?
I did a little bit of VLCT and I called some of the surrounding towns and got copies of all their tax policies and just kind of combined everything together to fit it how I
Okay,
wanted it.
okay,
But basically, if they're not into a payment plan by the last installment date, the other towns usually put them in tax sale and that's their last option.
what's the last installment date for us?
April 15th.
So,
This tax has gone.
well, thank you, Melissa, and we will
Yes,
wait to hear from you as to our next step.
Sounds good.
Do you have anything further?
I do not, I think Juanetta has the paperwork for you guys to sign about those other 2 properties that we were selling.
The legal notice?
Yeah, I need that legal notice signed and then Bob can advertise that.
Okay.
that's these 2, right?
Yep, those are the 2 we've already done, so we can sign that tonight and have it ready for you.
Sounds good. That's it.
I don't think we need to do a motion to approve, do we? Or a motion to accept, since we don't have a written report.
What do you think?
Dot your i's and cross your t's if you please.
Just go ahead and do it.
Somebody like to make a motion on Melissa's verbal report.
I make a motion to accept Melissa's verbal report of her doings.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you so much, Melissa.
Yep, you're welcome.
And now we have Doris and Katy from the Lister's office. Welcome.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good to have you here.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here. For immediate consideration, the select board needs to appoint a lister to serve until March of 2022. There needs, currently I am the only lister, and you need to have a board of listers in order to sign. And first of all, be present at the grievance process in June and the signing of the grand list in July. I don't know if you're aware that Frank Spansky resigned, so that leaves just me. I've spoken with my district advisor, Cy Bailey, Bill Justin from the New England Municipal Consultants, has done our townwide reappraisal since 2001. And with Ryan Silvestri, who works with Bill. And they all agree that this is what needs to happen according to the law. Currently in the office, we have myself, Katy, who's a data entry person. She can't be a lister because she lives in Townsend. She's doing a great job. And we have Ryan Silvestri, who's an assessor who assists us once or twice a month. He does inspections of the larger buildings. He'd like us to do the smaller ones. I also spoke with Dennis Wiswell, who's former lister. He had left as a lister last year because of the COVID. And I called, or I talked to him, and he called. I got a message on my phone when I went home between being here at work and coming in here. And he said, yes, he'd be happy to do it. He'd be happy to be appointed to serve in that capacity so that we would be legal.
That's fantastic.
It is fantastic, I'll tell you, is a load off my shoulders. It doesn't mean there is another vacant position
Right.
if you could find another person, but
Would that also be through March of next year?
yes.
Okay.
March of next year, there's gonna be a 1 year up for vote, 1 year, a 2 year, and a 3 year position for lister.
So everybody,
Yeah.
a 1 year, a 2 year, and another 2 year.
Three. 1, 2, and 3.
Year, 3 years.
Oh, and then
They're
3 year, okay.
staggered.
Yep.
I read that they're staggered so that there's some overlap.
Lister's positions are for 3 years. So Frank's term was until 2023. But he had another year left on his. At the election, there was a 1 year position which I took. And there was a 3 year position that nobody got elected for.
So we're in desperate need for listers.
Well, I think the way things have been going with having Katy doing data entry and with Ryan Silvestri hired to help us with a lot of the stuff, he comes in once or twice a month. And I think that's gonna be, we may have to go beyond that for this next year, but it's working really well right now. And the reason for having to have the two is that you need a board of listers to sign some of these things. You can't do it, just one lister can't do it.
Would a realtor be
No.
able to?
Oh, you can't.
No,
No.
No.
Even though they have comprehensive understanding of the real estate.
first of all, to be a lister, you have to live in town,
Correct.
which Katy does not. but-
Right. I have someone in mind when I'm speaking.
Someone who
who's
lives in
local.
town, who's a
Correct.
list, her realtor.
Right.
If they wanna, they could be appointed by the board, just like,
Yeah.
because there is that other thing. I'm not sure how much, because a lot of the stuff is being taken care of, but yes, they could go out and look and do some minimal work, even Dennis said, he says, I don't know that there's gonna be much for me to do, but I'll be happy to do it to make it legal. He He does want to go out and look at the little bits of it.
And it's just a thought for as far as
Yeah,
trying to plan future, what that would look like.
Right, right.
I have a person in mind who's local and a real estate agent, and
So my hearing
she
that
might be
the
the right
fact
sort
that,
of,
as long as they live in town, the fact that this person is a real estate
that
agent
wouldn't be a conflict.
is not a problem.
No, it's not.
Okay. Because I was trying to read
Select
like,
board members can't be listed.
I did read that. But as far as what you need to know about the real estate market, that would be a perfect little pigeonhole
Yes, it would be,
thing.
we had someone that was interested who was in the real, was thinking of doing that. He's so busy with real estate, he doesn't have time to think about being a
Yeah.
lister.
Right.
Especially right now, I know you. That's why I gave you this information about what a lister does.
That's helpful, thank you.
You know if somebody else,
So
or somebody who wants to run in March.
for someone that would be interested but is worried about what they need to have for credentials, how would they go? Do they need to do anything? Like, are the courses available?
There are courses and so forth available through the state.
And that's able to do online?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Or right now, a lot of that stuff is online.
And how many hours a week or a month or? It says full-time, so I'm
It's
just
not
trying to, it's not full-time.
Not full-time,
Okay.
part-time job. When I was working at it more fully, it was 15 to 20 hours a week.
Okay.
That's it. Now I'm down to like 10.
Did you have a question, Shelley?
Yeah, Doris, you said that your 1 year is going to end when?
March 2022.
March 2022. And then the one that Dennis is taking is a 2-year?
No.
No, he's just gonna be appointed for the rest of the
He can
year.
only be appointed until.
Oh, the
when he
next
gets
one.
appointed, he can only appoint.
Oh,
till the
okay,
next-
to the next town meeting day or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So is there a motion that someone would like to appoint Dennis Wiswall to be a lister for the rest of the year, till March?
I make a motion to accept Dennis
To a point.
To appoint.
to the point.
Great.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any further discussion?
Thank you very much. You don't know how much that means to me.
You are very
It's
welcome.
the slogan.
Glad to
I
help.
would just also encourage if your friend
I will keep,
that if we can get another person on so that we're fully composed of 3, that helps prepare us for March.
It's-
And
And
it can only
anybody else
help.
that might want to run in March too.
Yeah, if they want to
For
be
1, 2,
appointed
or
now.
3
yeah,
years.
it would be nice to pull in
I
some
think
younger.
sometimes people don't want to run because it's a 3-year position, but they might like a 1 or 2 just to find out.
What it's like.
I
But
know,
it takes 3 years to figure out what's going on.
my friend expressed the concerns of not being liked.
No.
Because it has to do with taxes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way.
That's good. Okay,
It's
that's
all how
positive,
you treat people
right?
and how the approach is made. You know, it usually isn't, you know, if I have someone that comes into my office that's ranting and raving, I let them rant and rave. And then I explain to them what it is that they're looking for. They leave happy. So it's like, you know, if you're gonna argue with them, then you're always, in any kind of a situation,
True.
you know.
Okay,
But-
thank you. I will
You're
pass that
welcome.
along because
Good.
that was a concern.
So we have a motion on the table that's been seconded to appoint Dennis Wiswall to be a lister until March of 2022. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
We have a quorum of listers.
Would you like me to send him a letter of appointment
Yes, please.
and ask him to accept?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Or else.
get him when it's hot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We don't have anything listed under scheduled members of the public. And I see we have some friends on Zoom. Hi, Gloria. And we are now up to unscheduled members of the public. And Gloria, good evening.
Good evening. I am Gloria Cristelli from Newfane, and I want to echo and really say it even more loudly from what Shelley said. I found the biggest problem with Green Up Day this time is that we had so many volunteers that it was hard to really get people to be able to take the little sections that they wanted, and some had to go to other roads. But I unfortunately missed the information that Jay said because I got on a few minutes late. But all 250 bags went out, and I know that when I worked with Tom, and I can't say his last name, AIK, if anybody knows how to say that, from Hunter Brook Road in South Newfane. He is our Green Up Day champion. He picked up 14 bags of trash on Dover Road, and we had more people helping on Dover Road this year than usual. Last year, he picked up 35 bags of stuff on Dover Road. And he did an earlier, maybe about a month ago, he did 6 bags from there. So Tom and I worked on Route 30 yesterday for 2 or 3 hours, and we had at least 22 bags of trash, and that didn't cover everything, but we did a good portion of it. So those bags were white bags because we just had no green bags. So I appreciate it that Jay will pick up those bags too.
Jay?
So very, very successful Green Up Day, and the kudos go to everybody in Newfane who greened up our beautiful town. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria, for all your hard work and for
You're
everyone
welcome.
in town that has participated. That's wonderful.
Should we send a thank you letter to the gentleman that Gloria mentioned that works sort of above and beyond?
Yeah, do you know who she's?
I can find out.
Okay.
I can get that information to you.
Star.
Yeah, if you had let Juanetta know who that is, that'd be fantastic.
I like that.
Any other unscheduled members of the public would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on to old business. We are going to take a moment and look at our policies that we need to adopt or amend, and because we have had no amendments to them, can we entertain a motion for the Town of Newfane financial policy? Is there a motion to accept and sign?
Yes, I make a motion to accept and sign.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Can we sign them after the meeting?
Yep.
Okay,
And those are public documents.
yes,
So anybody has access to them.
yep. And moving on, is there a motion to accept the Town of Newfane personnel policy?
I make a motion to accept.
Yes,
Second,
I second it.
any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Next, may I entertain a motion to accept the conflict of interest policy for the Town of Newfane?
I make a motion to accept it.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And lastly, may I have a motion to accept the Town of Newfane bidding procedures policy?
I make a motion to accept it.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. We will sign all of these at the end of the meeting. Next, we have the animal control update. Juanetta did reach out to Stephanie asking for her to provide an email of the status on her progress of her dog enclosure for our meeting this evening, and to provide pictures and the response was that the progress is slow due to all the rocks and will update when the posts are in. We don't have a picture, and she stated that there are no pictures worth taking at this time, and when she has real progress, she will send some. I'm gonna, if it's okay, maybe ask Juanetta to call her again tomorrow just to check in again instead of email, make a phone call.
Sounds good.
And I think also just to stress the importance of moving rapidly on this. This is not a process that we want to drag on.
Exactly, because we did make an agreement that there was to be progress,
Right.
especially for this first meeting.
I just want to make a note also that there's a lot of fencing available on Facebook. Dog fencing, wire fencing, all that. So if people are looking to fence their animals in, that's a good place to look.
And Craigslist as well.
Craigslist, that's old school.
It is old school, but there's the Facebook Marketplace, there's Craigslist, and so even if it's something that's temporary, just to get this moving along, that would be great.
I think a roll of gardening fence that's 150 feet long is like $60 or $70.
It's
Not
that, is that good for a dog?
It's welded wire,
I see.
6 feet tall. Yeah, it would work.
Mhm.
Yes, hi Juliet,
It keeps empty, right?
Hi,
how are you tonight?
you're fine, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Good. So Henry went up there and checked it yesterday, and they took down what they had before, which was kind of like some chicken wire and some snow fence, and a kind of cobbled together situation. They took that down and they put in like a post. But at this point, the property line, I mean, there's nothing now, and we're really concerned. We're outside all the time. I've got students. I'm in the garden every day, and we had spoken back several meetings ago when you all sent that that letter to them asking them to put up a fence or have their dogs impounded until a fence is put up. And at this point, Stephanie's husband, Jason, said to Henry about a month ago.
Yeah, a month ago when their dogs were loose.
Yeah, when their dogs were down loose on our land again, a month ago, that they would be putting a fence up that week. And that was a month ago. And nothing has happened since then, except that there is, in fact, less of an obstacle than there used to be. And so at this point, we would really like it if the board could enact that previous letter and impound the dogs until they build a fence. Because at this point, the obstacle to building the fence is the obstacle that these people have always had, which is their personal barriers. And recognizing that that's a real problem. Also, that we really have to have a fence. We really have to keep these dogs out of our yard for our kids' safety. This is, at this point, this is like gone far beyond what's reasonable to expect in terms of a time frame. We've been asking for this now for like 3 years. So, I mean, I don't know how much longer we can, this is really dragging on, and they haven't done anything.
I think that we have to stress in the phone call that is made to Stephanie and Jason that our position was clear of what we wanted to happen. She gave us her assurance that she was working on it. We understood that the work was going to begin immediately. And I would say that we reenact a deadline, that this cannot keep going on. This cannot be an issue.
You're testing.
Yeah, it's enough already, enough. And so either it is,
We're either going to do it.
well, I
or
would
not.
say in 2 weeks, either the offense is up or the dogs have to be impounded until a fence is installed, because
Well, my thought is have, the dogs haven't been over at the cars.
Well, not.
I'm sorry, the dogs have been over at the cars. The aggressive pit bulls have been running loose in the yard with the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old pretty much on a very regular basis since they got the dogs.
Get a video of it.
This is an ongoing problem. Yeah, it was just a couple
They
weeks
were down
ago.
here looking for them.
Yeah, and they know just where to come to look for them too. They come right down here.
No, I
So
understand.
we're not exaggerating this. They're here all the time.
I think that,
We need to have proof that they're there all the time.
I think the bottom line is that everyone agrees that a fence needs to be built. It just has to be built already. I do understand from our conversation with Stephanie that she was making huge efforts to keep the dogs under control and either on a leash or in the house, muzzled, etc. But I still think that we just have to put this issue to bed. This cannot go on
No, it can't.
for the whole, another year. So I would say it's 2 weeks. Get it done in 2 weeks, whatever way you need to get it done, or else we impound the dogs until such time as the fence is completed.
And the
that's all I
cost is
need.
on you for impoundment.
Which was in the letter that we sent.
I think enough, just enough. I really understood based on our conversation last week, our last meeting. I expected more progress would have been made.
Absolutely,
And
I would
I feel
too.
like this is sort of a bad faith to not,
Follow through
To
with
not
what was
follow
the
through,
agreement that we
yes.
had, especially because we asked for certain things and we
Right.
did not get them.
Well, my concern also is that it's them saying that the dogs are roaming, but we don't know if the dogs are roaming.
I don't even think that.
Wait a second.
Already said a thing, and we need to go through with it.
Yes,
They
Gloria?
had been roaming, whether or not it happened in the last 2 weeks, I think is irrelevant. An agreement was
Yeah.
made, Stephanie agreed to it.
We need to follow through with that. Gloria?
Well, I guess my statement is, I don't think you've had Henry and Juliet coming to the board for this amount of time, and they're making up that these dogs that threaten their children are not really there. So to have proof that you've got two honest adults saying that they are there.
Right.
And so are you going to make them get a video camera that has a timestamp and do that? I no. I mean, having been where you're sitting and actually having gone out and kind of taken dogs when we didn't have a animal control officer, it seems to me that if you've had that letter out that says that they need to be impounded unless the fence is up, they've had that notice. My feeling is if you've got dogs roaming and there are children's lives that are potentially at danger, it would behoove the select board to make sure that you go ahead, give them a call and say, we're impounding your dogs tomorrow. Another 2 weeks, and then they'll get another 2 weeks. And I know you'll say, and in 2 weeks, you'll get it done. And I trust you would. But they've had plenty of notice. We never waited that long to make sure that dogs were taken care of.
We're at 3 weeks since they received the letter,
Yes.
slightly more than. Can the animal control officer go over and assess it now? It's been 21 days, not 15 like we
I don't know
asked.
what needs to be assessed. She was told to build a fence. She came in
We
here.
need
she
to
had
call the
plans
Dover,
Right,
to build
the
a
person from Dover that we had
Visually.
talked to.
Correct, the animal control officer, to visually go over, nope, it's not built yet, and then be able to immediately remove the dogs. That's how it would work,
No,
correct?
ask for a volunteer to be on the phone call with Juanetta tomorrow.
I can do that.
Will you be able to come down here and be on the
I have to
speakerphone
bring
call?
Jesse to school in the morning, and I can be here by 9.
Is everyone in agreement with that?
What specifically are we agreeing to? Is it to to give her 2 weeks or to proceed immediately with the animal control, removing the dogs?
I think because we do not, let me retract that. because there has not been any action taken, and there are children that are out playing and fearful of animals that are roaming. And we did send a letter through the sheriffs about the dogs and what action would be taken. And because we didn't get what we had asked for as a board as an update, that when the board makes the phone call to the animals owners to follow through with the letter. It has been going on for a very long time.
I'm not convinced that the dogs are still roaming. It's a, one party saying it.
I don't think that matters anymore. We've made a decision about what they need to do, and they still have not.
Well, you
followed
all can
through.
make a decision. I just don't feel comfortable with it. I'm putting my input in on it.
What would you be comfortable with?
Well, I mean, I'm not convinced that the dogs are roaming. And I think, we need to know if the dogs are roaming.
But we've all agreed that they're gonna build a fence.
Right, true.
So you don't want to impound the dogs until the fence is built?
Well, I think we should follow through on getting the fence built, but I'm not convinced that the dogs are roaming as much as, or at all.
But they have
But
a
what
very
difference-
clear leash order.
Yeah, but we don't know for sure. We're just taking it as from one person,
Okay, but so
So-
what in your opinion should the board be doing? Does it change?
Well, I think what you guys are deciding to do is that we've decided as a group to go ahead and have certain deadlines. So that's an enforcement of it. I'm not convinced that the dogs are roaming.
And I think the problem with the deadline is that we did give a clear deadline and a request for certain actions for tonight's meeting that were not followed through.
Right.
And that's a problem.
I have to admit, I feel shocked is a little too strong, but I feel very surprised and a little pissed that nothing has really been done.
Didn't you say that she wrote to say that they were having issues with digging holes because of rocks? Did I understand that correctly?
That was
In
in the email from Stephanie.
That's what she said. Progress is slow due to all the rocks. I will update when posts are in.
But that wasn't what she agreed to.
But
No.
within 2 weeks, there was supposed to be some type of progress indicating that a fence was being installed. And we don't have any type of
Well, they've run into
photographs.
rocks. There's one
But there was
post in.
still supposed to be some type of photographic presentation of what they're doing, and we
Okay.
have nothing to show.
I think regardless of whatever is happening currently with whether or not the dogs are roaming or not in the last 2 weeks, I think that is actually sort of irrelevant to the topic, that what's relevant is we made a decision.
A policy.
A policy
Yeah,
based on all the
decision, yeah.
information we have. Let us follow through with it. In my opinion, I'd be willing to give her 2 weeks, but if others disagree, I'm willing to go along with that. And I think enough, just get the damn thing built, whatever you need to do to get it built. And if it can't be done
Some type of,
in
fence
2
or
weeks,
structure.
then the dogs will be impounded until it is. End of story.
It'll put some pressure on them to
Yes.
dig the rocks out and
Yes,
get it
and
out.
I think it also sets the precedent of don't play a game of trying to be a bully around here. It's
Well, I
like-
don't think anybody's
And
trying to play a game.
Dogs, just like driving is a privilege, having a dog is a privilege, and there are penalties.
Well, I see you guys are getting upset over that part of it, but I'm not convinced that the dogs are roaming. But what I'm saying to you is we made a policy, we agreed to it. I'm not even sure I agreed to it. But there's 3 of you, so move ahead and make your decision.
Okay,
I am not convinced the dogs are roaming.
okay.
And I think if the dogs are roaming, they need to be identified when they're roaming, the date, and it's not always the cars calling. And we don't have an animal control person to send out there to check to see if the dog is roaming. So I guess the option is to proceed with getting the fence built, but I'm not totally convinced on the whole idea that we're mandating the fence even. But you guys are, okay?
I would hope to see that if with a phone call tomorrow, that within a week, that there's some real progress made. And then after 2 weeks, the dogs are impounded until, that would be my
I'm
suggestion.
good with that.
How about you, Katie?
After 2 weeks.
Oh, I think Gloria's
Gloria?
waving.
Yes,
It seems as though you have completely gone back on what you were talking about, the fact that they've already had at least 3 weeks.
They have.
And
They're
do
going
we-
to be a phone call tomorrow to reinforce everything that was done.
But
There
now
was
you're
an
giving them,
executive session with her
yeah,
last
I know,
meeting.
but now you're giving them another 2 weeks?
No,
Well, we had a discussion and things came out in that discussion.
No, I understand, but
I
they
would
had,
like to see a firm phone call tomorrow, making sure that she knows that this is what's going to happen, and it will happen. I don't, within the next,
well, we have, do we make an actual appointment with the animal control officer, the Dover Animal Control Officer on a set date at an appointment time?
I would
To
think
go
so.
check.
We have a letter out there to her stating that the dogs needed to be impounded
Yeah.
if this wasn't done. And now we see that we've gone 2 weeks, nothing has been done. A phone call to her to be made that this is.
Enforcement of that seems reasonable to me. If we're gonna send letters that say you have X amount of days, we can't keep going.
Right.
I would say because of the lack of progress report, we follow through with the letter. That's my suggestion. That's where I'm
Yeah, you
at.
should follow through with what the letter stated.
So do I take the time to contact the animal control officer and set up an appointment time for him or her to go over to
I
check?
think it'd be better
In
if
2
Juanetta
weeks.
was
Is that
doing
what you
it.
mean?
Well, she's
In
gonna
2
be,
weeks,
she's gonna
not-
sit with
not
Juanetta
tomorrow.
while they do the phone call.
Oh,
A member of the board to sit with Juanetta and do the phone call together. I think that's
Do we do that
appropriate.
as well? So you have 1 week
Yes.
and on Tuesday, the
11th.
11th,
Monday, the 10th.
Monday, the 10th?
No, because tomorrow is Tuesday. We're making the call 1 week from tomorrow, right?
She was
Right.
supposed to have a progress report to us today,
Okay.
and we do not have a progress report today.
okay.
Okay, so Monday, the
We've made the
11th.
phone calls, this is what's happening,
At
and Monday,
a time,
Tuesday is the 11th.
I thought you got a progress report
Sorry.
about.
we were supposed to get a complete progress report with photographs
Oh,
of
okay.
everything that was being done, and I don't think this goes along with what we had discussed in our meeting. I don't think it's enough. personally.
so in tomorrow's conversation, we set up a time with the animal control officer to go there the following week.
Yes, and make sure she knows this is happening.
Correct.
Yes. Juliet?
Sorry, I just want to throw out there, I think this has been happening now for so long that I think we're getting a little bit of tunnel vision about how long it's actually been happening. You all served that initial letter back in something like December. And then it was actually not 2 weeks ago, it was a month ago that you said she had 2 weeks or you were going to impound the dogs. And then 2 weeks ago, you had the executive session and were told apparently unequivocally that there would be a fence in 2 weeks or something like that.
Progress.
Significant progress.
Progress.
Well, and now it's that the soil's rocky, you know, and I have to say that as someone who lives next door to her, this is always like this. You know, we are unsurprised to hear that rocky soil is an obstacle to a fence. That to us seems, that's what we would expect her to say. And next time it's going to be rainy or whatever. And like, that's fine, but we need actual progress. And at this point you've said it was a month ago that you said impound. And it was December that you said impound. And, this is really, we filed our initial complaint in September after several years of trying to work with her verbally on this before she got the aggressive dogs. I think at this point, we would really, really appreciate meaningful action on this, not giving her continuing to extend those deadlines, but actually enforcing the deadlines that you've previously set. That would be really helpful for us.
And I think that's where we're at right now, is we're going to set it and we're going to enforce it.
And I will do that tomorrow.
Thank you very much. That's really
You'll
helpful.
be here at 9 to work with Juanetta? Perfect. Is there any further conversation on the animal control update? Moving along to discussing ideas.
Other than we need an animal control person.
Yes, desperately need an animal control officer, please, if
Don't we
anyone is
have-
interested.
Don't we have a plan as of,
That's still a plan, but we can still have somebody hopefully be interested in being an animal control officer,
Yeah.
and that would be amazing.
And there's no update is from Wyndham Sheriff.
Not until June, correct?
I have a Zoom meeting, I believe, the 17th.
May 16th on your calendar. I see.
Oh, okay.
For the potential of Wyndham, just to recap.
A
real quick.
regional.
An update on the progress of, their policy, and they already have somebody hired.
Oh, they do?
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good news.
We're expecting our contract to start July 1st.
So do we have a contract that we've looked at?
They're still writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good. So we're going to potentially contract with Wyndham County Sheriff's Office for animal control,
Correct,
and they will impound animals.
correct.
Okay.
After the May 16th meeting, would you be able to ask Sheriff Anderson if he'd like to come to one of our meetings to share what he's looking at? I think that would be great to hear
Mm-hmm.
while they're still in the contract writing stage.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be in June, first meeting in June? That you'd like him to come?
Yes, first meeting in June.
Angela,
Yes,
just a question on that. Do we have money budgeted to contract with anybody for animal control? Because everybody else has been a volunteer.
Yes, some money.
we have some money.
When
So
we-
that was in the budget?
I'm sorry. When we first looked at the contract, joining forces with the other towns in hiring the sheriff's department as animal control, it was budgeted based on volume, amount of calls, and we may have 6 or 7 calls a year, where Putney or Westminster might have 17. So it's a prorated based on how many calls they're expecting us to have. And we did work that into the budget along with what was previously there to contract.
In our new budget.
Correct.
Okay.
Which starts July 1st.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything further? Juliet? Yes.
Hi. One more thing. This is a little bit tangential, but I just want to throw out there that we have contacted the town about this with great regularity and numerous contemporaneous accounts for, almost a year at this point, like the solid 9 months. And I have to say that, to be perfectly honest, I've never had my honesty or my husband's honesty questioned in a public forum before. And the idea that a member of the select board who has never spoken directly to us about anything related to this issue is generating opinions as to whether or not we're being straightforward about whether or not our children are in danger from pit bulls with multiple documented bites. Like, let's be really clear about what we're talking about here. We're talking about dogs that have multiple documented bites in this area and have been seen on our land numerous times and have been contemporaneously reported to the sheriff's office, to Juanetta, to you all.
State police.
State police, thank you. I said sheriff, I meant state police, whatever. The point is that is really outside the bounds of what I would expect to be like our reception coming into the board about an issue like this, a basic issue of safety that would be easily remedied by the presence of animal control, which our town lacks. I expect to be treated with respect and as if we are upstanding members of this community, which in fact we are.
Amen.
Thank you, Gloria. I really appreciate your support. It's quite meaningful.
Amen.
But I have to say that the idea that we would be expected to prove that there's an attack dog loose on our land when everyone in this area knows that those dogs run loose and they have numerous documented bites over the last year. I don't even know what to say about that. Should I quit my job and sit in the yard with a camcorder? Like, I mean, what do you even do? I think it should be on them to prove that they have a fence and that their dogs are not aggressive, which has not happened because their dogs are aggressive and they have no fence. But barring all of that, the idea that someone on the board's automatic assumption is that we're lying about something so basic and straightforward and like simple town business, I find that to be very surprising and disappointing.
I didn't say you were lying. We have to look at both sides. So there's two different stories happening. I think Melissa's got her hand up.
Melissa?
I was just curious, if those dogs are off Stephanie's property again, can't the cars call Dover Animal Control right now? Isn't that who we've kind of contracted with? And they can come down and just confiscate the dogs right then and there?
That sounds good.
Is that a question that you can
We can hash it out tomorrow and
make sure you
clarify.
ask that tomorrow?
So Juliet could just call them or her husband and then have them come down immediately and take the dogs right away.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So we're going to look into that.
And then whatever they find out, Julia, I will have Juanetta email you or call you right away after tomorrow's phone calls. We do need to get this taken care of, and it needs to be done immediately.
We have to be concerned about both parties. So,
But I guess excuse me, Angela.
Yes, Gloria, go ahead.
I guess my concern, and this is to Shelley, as to are you coming from a basis where in your executive session with the dog owners that they said, no, our dogs are not going off our property?
there was information. So, I mean, our job is to hear from both sides.
So I understand, but you had people who are saying even in the last couple of days, the dogs have been. So you don't have the other party coming and saying, no, they haven't been. So I did think that was fairly disrespectful to say you're not convinced. All you have to do is say, I hear what these concerned people are saying, and let's move on to make sure. I think this idea of having them call the
Thank you, Gloria.
directly would be good. Oh, sigh.
It's being handled.
Okay,
We will make sure this happens first thing tomorrow, and everyone will be notified appropriately.
Juliet, you can expect an email from us too regarding the animal control officer's availability to be called. Okay?
You know, so I would say.
Really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Dogs.
Yes, well, they're gonna call them too and let them know what's happening. All right. Would you like to discuss planning commission ideas and updates?
Is anyone from the planning commission still on the phone? It had been either Jane or Kate. Did Kate have to leave?
It looks like you missed it.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. So what has happened is I met with the planning commission. We talked about putting together a document based off of the recent town plan. that would list what the key projects are that we thought could be pursued by Newfane. It focuses on several key types of issues, for example, housing, transportation, economic development, and community, creating a bigger sense of community. The Planning Commission put the document together. They sent me a copy of it, but it came late this afternoon. I did not have a chance to read it. So I would like to have a chance to read it and then share it with the select board. And my question, either to discuss now or for us to think about and discuss at the next meeting, is how do we want to proceed? Do we want to create a committee that is focused on developing this plan? Do we want to, and I'm not sure exactly how we assign people to that, or if people volunteer, or what the process is.
Yeah.
Or do we want to first discuss it as a select board and then create a committee?
Well, I think we should look at, I think we should look at all the top, 5 or whatever. And based on what our budget is, based on discussion with Jay, in funding opportunities, make a determination like maybe the top 2.
I think, though, the idea would be to create what I described as a master list. So everything can't get done this year.
Right.
But some of the things we could start scoping on.
Yeah.
And we would then have a list to work with. I see you, Jane, just one second. We would then have a list to work from over the next several years.
Yeah,
really.
like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 20-year plan. Yes.
Yes.
I see, yeah, like a master plan for the town
Exactly.
to progress on the top projects.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Jane, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this was a list that we threw together as a working list. I don't think it's a final list. I don't think it's anything that we really have prioritized yet as to the items we feel are the most important or the least important. But it was more just here's a list of things that we think we need to think about doing. And so it was a good place to start discussions, how these evolve into a final list of the actual projects to work on. I think is to be determined. This was just really a let's get the conversation started list.
That's great. Yeah.
So
I think that-
do we want first dibs for us to talk about it, as you're asking, Anne?
I guess
Or do you want a committee formed and then discuss
I
it?
think it would be helpful to the select board, since especially like Shelley and Angela have a lot more experience. You know the town better than I do. So I think having your input would be very helpful.
Mhm.
And then I think that would help based on the projects that are being, the types of projects. I think you'd have some good input on who you would recommend we might want to recruit for a committee. So I think it would be very valuable
Mhm.
to do it first as a select board.
Oh, yeah, I
And
think
I-
we should spend some time.
Yeah.
So will you send out that working
will.
list so that we can all look at it,
I
and then we
will.
can continue this for the next meeting and discuss it?
And I was confused about Jane because she's talking to us as a planning committee person
Mhm.
versus the
D-fibers.
fiber.
Oh.
I can talk about the fiber as too if you want, but that's part of the plan.
So just to recognize Jane as part of the planning commission for the town of Newfane.
Some of the items on the list are items that we actually are working on now. Some of the things in terms of Jay Wilson working on infrastructure for streets and all. Some of these things are currently being worked on. And I guess this was just a way to prioritize and keep in mind the things that we do need to be working towards. If no one is working on it now, can we get someone started working on it?
So that would be a great master working plan.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay,
The addition of the word working is very helpful.
yes.
So that list will be sent out to all of the board, and we'll keep this discussion of ideas on the town plan on our agenda and keep working with it.
Yeah. And then we can build subcommittees off of that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Great.
That sounds good.
But I would say we need to schedule it on a regular basis so that we don't let it go.
Well, that's why I'm keeping it on the agenda.
Oh.
It will never, it's
Okay,
always gonna be on
perfect.
old business, right, for
Love it.
discussion, and if we have something,
Yeah.
if we don't have anything, we can move on. If we do, we can have a discussion about.
Okay, great.
So, is there anything further on that? Thank you
No.
so much.
You're welcome.
So now we're going to move to correspondence. Oh, I'm sorry, we have new business. I apologize. Is there any new business?
Do we received an email from Lindsay Bertram about an issue with the dog.
Yes, I thought there was another
Did you
one.
see the
I
email?
saw that.
I've spoken with the,
Can you report on that, please?
I received an email this morning from Lindsay Bertram, and I spoke with the animal owner, who reassures me that when she's going to be walking her dog, she will have it on a leash. She recently purchased a electronic shock collar.
Yeah,
Um,
saw
the
that.
dog is not a puppy, so when she adopted it, it came with some bad habits that she's becoming very much aware of. She apologized to the owner of the chickens that were free ranging on their own property, made compensation, and there has been some negative comments, but she reassured me that, you know, she holds no ill will and will be able to control her own dog when she's taking it for walks.
No, I think she mentioned she did not realize there's a leash law in the town.
You said that in
The
email.
owner
Yeah.
of the dog,
Yes.
well, I spoke with her this morning when she came in.
No, but I
You
mean,
put that
prior
in
to
the
this,
email.
Oh,
prior to this, she didn't realize there was a leash law.
oh,
That's what I understand.
okay.
So there is a leash law.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Okay.
Any other new business? Moving on to correspondence, we received an email from Laura and Fred Wallingford-Bacon regarding the dump site on Grimes Hill. Reading, thank you for posting the meeting minutes on the town website and Front Porch Forum One Edit. As you know, we talked to Jay Wilson about the dump site on Grimes Hill Road. This is an ongoing problem at this site far and beyond our annual green up efforts along the roadside. Still, Grimes Hill Road residents have been cleaning up this dump site for over 25 years.
Oh my God.
The cost to the town is not only in terms of the road crew's time and dumping fees associated with this site, but in environmental and health hazards as well. Your minutes call for ideas in response to the issue, and our suggestion would be to extend the guardrail and eliminate the pullover at this site altogether, since it is simply an invitation to dump illegally. According to Jay Wilson, the road crew uses the pullover only on the occasion that they might be working on Grimes Hill. When that is the case, there is the pullover a short distance from there, which could be used instead at the turn of Newfane Hill. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I look forward to hearing from the board about this or any other option which might address the problem. Best regards, Laura and Fred.
Do you know where it is exactly? The dump site?
I guess there's only one place to pull over on the riverside of Grimes Hill Road before you start down into
Yeah.
Williamsville. I assume that's what she's just
It is.
talking about.
It is that spot.
And it's a very steep bank.
How?
Is Jay still, Jay is not with us. I think,
Refer this to Jay too.
defer to
Okay.
Jay to also because I like the idea of extending the guardrail.
Yeah,
So maybe if we talk to Jay about what that would entail.
it's that steep anyways, you know.
And after we talk to Jay,
We might be able to get funding through the federal stuff too.
we can reach back out to Laura and Fred after we talk with Jay.
Gloria.
We could also use some deer crossing signs there.
Gloria?
It's bad.
Apparently, there's that site. There's also a site on River Road that is constantly mentioned during Green Up Day. And on Dover Road, this Tom, who's my champion green upper, he said that, I guess it was 2 days, Friday, that he had collected like 5 tires from this particular area where he constantly picks up trash. And then he went back and by the time he was coming to do some more green up work, there were another 6 tires there.
Wow.
There are several spots where I think putting the guardrails will be helpful, but they can still pull. And I spent most of my time over the banks and got bags of cans and bottles. So with a lot of this work, it's right over steep banks. So I'm hoping that these people won't, just pull up and toss it anyway. So that's a good idea. But is there some way that we can put up cameras and catch some of the people? Something's got to be done. Tom said yesterday, we have this, $250 litter sign, but he never has known of anybody who's been charged, So.
My thought is, Gloria, is on that steep embankment along River Road, it's pretty steep. So there's areas that I could see if we could get some funding opportunity to put up fencing to go up from the guardrail, so it prevents people from actually throwing over that embankment. And it also would be a safety issue for somebody if they were to climb on the guardrail, they roll right down, and really it would be a safety issue because it's so steep.
Yeah.
So I would look at it as a safety issue and at the same time be a preventative for future throwing garbage over the embankment.
So can we refer these things to Jay to take a look at and assess?
I was just going to say, I think these are all great ideas, and we can talk with Jay and see where we can go from here about them. Can you send me an email, Gloria, on the site on River Road and the site on Dover Road that you're referring to?
Okay.
That way I can mention them as well.
Yep, will do.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next letter is from Chris White, and the subject line is letter to the select board. Dear select board members, in response to the circulating petition and/or letter from West River Mutual Aid requesting the town of Newfane to find an appropriate diversity or anti-racism training program that could be offered to all town employees and officials, as well as being available to the members of the community at large, end quote, I offer the following. 1, the assumption or implication that the board needs such training is insulting. 2, the assumption or implication that the members of the West River Valley Mutual Aid are more enlightened or tolerant than the general population of the town is also insulting and arrogant. 3, if such training is needed, the West River Mutual Aid folks are the vehicle that should be used for the select board as representatives of the townspeople to procure, fund, and promote such training would, in my opinion, exceed the scope of your authority. And I would highly recommend that the West River Mutual Aid get details of such a program and to assess the level of interest before proceeding. Newfane is a kind, generous, neighborly place. We don't have to be taught to be so. We were raised with values and to practice the golden rule. Please don't try to paint us as otherwise in an effort to jump on the latest, quote, woke train. We are not broken, but we might be with efforts such as this. Christine White. Hi, Chris. Let's see here. Do you have anything further to add to your email?
I'm working on getting a picture here. There we go.
Hi
No.
there. Thank you for your email.
I think it said it all.
Okay.
I just stood by in case anybody wanted to ask anything.
Okay, the next email, I'm going to go right into the next email. It has to do with the same thing. This one is from Erica Walch. Again, subject is letter to the select board. Dear Newfane Select Board, I understand that some residents and non-residents of Newfane are circulating a letter urging you to submit to, quote, anti-racist training, end quote. Require such training for all town employees and making such training available for the public at large, and then make social media posts and press releases stating that Newfane is a town, quote, acknowledging its racist bias, end quote. They further state that by you doing this, it will encourage diversity in the town. The individuals writing this letter are submitting it under the name of the West River Mutual Aid Group. I am a member of that group and in no way endorse their letter, and am confident the letter does not represent the views of all members. I strongly urge you to reject this absurd request. Self-declared political labels are slippery things and often designed to obscure rather than reveal meaning, just as the, quote, the People's Revolution in China was orchestrated by a few elite political operatives, and the so-called, quote, anti-fascist or Antifa group is actually a group that uses fascist tactics to bully and harass others. So the two is the so-called, quote, anti-racist movement using a deceptive label. The, quote, anti-racist movement is in fact racist. The, quote, anti-racist racists believe that all people who are white are terrible, hateful, misguided, overtly or subconsciously racist, and bent on oppressing people who are not white and must attend trainings to realize how awful they are and be re-educated. The, quote, anti-racists also promote the idea that all people who are Black are weak and victims of systemic racism and must be protected by well-wishing white people. Reducing people to their race rather than considering people as individuals is pretty much the definition of, quote, racist. The select board is an apolitical body, and town employees and elected and appointed officials are charged with administering the management of the town, not learning and spouting political ideologies. We have diversity in Newfane, but it's not the type of diversity the, quote, woke crowd appreciates. Many intellectuals who are Black and both liberal and conservative strongly oppose the, quote, anti-racist industrial complex, end quote, and are told by the woke mob that they are somehow race traitors for not endorsing these unhinged views. The people who believe this ideology want everyone to believe in the, quote, anti-racist message, which is also the opposite of diversity. They brook no opposition and despise those who disagree with them. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that, begin quote, it is love that will save our civilization, end quote, and that people should be judged by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. This is an idea reasonable and mature people believe in. However, the radical and hate-filled, quote, anti-racist activist agenda rejects Dr. King's teaching and instead wish to reduce everyone to the color of their skin and get them to spout their radical race-based mantras. Rather than submit to the political, divisive, partisan, and truly racist request to institute this mandatory, quote, training, parentheses, which is really political indoctrination, end parentheses, an acknowledgement of your supposed bias, parentheses, which if you agree to it will just mean more and more radical demands will follow, end parentheses. I suggest that the select board offer to help the public learn about the US and Vermont constitutions, which are beautiful and inclusive documents which promote diversity of thought and protect all of our citizens equally, regardless of the color of their skin. Sincerely, Erica Walsh. So we do not have presented to the select board at this time the letter that is circulating. So a suggestion would be to put this on the agenda under old business and revisit it when we do have that letter that is circulating so that we can have a full discussion at that time.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Yep.
I'm puzzled.
But I wanted to share the correspondence that we get
In a
And-
timely manner.
in a timely manner. And once we receive the letter that is circulating, that would be
Yes, Keith?
Keith.
Hi,
Hi.
sorry, I was muted. I was just wondering if I could speak to those letters as a member of the public and not to the letter that's been circulating, because I know we don't have that in front of us.
Sure.
But as a resident of Newfane, I would just like to share, my name's Keith Diefenbach. I moved to Newfane in the fall from New York City. And I'm a white person. I would show you my face, but there's bandwidth issues, so I'm not going to go to video. But I'm a gender nonconforming person. I'm bisexual. As I said, I'm a white person. But those letters that you just read are horrifying to me as a person who lives as a member of a different marginalized community. That those are the views that members of our town hold towards anti-racist efforts, and thereby towards, I will imply, efforts toward continued understanding and education about the lived experiences of members of marginalized communities who do in fact live here, right here in Newfane. It's just horrifying to me that those views exist in this beautiful place. And I can certainly tell you that one of the reasons that brought me here to Vermont from New York City, where I've lived for more than 20 years, was that I looked forward to the welcoming culture of Vermont towards people like me and people of all sorts, as the people in these letters are alluding to. And in many areas of my life, I've experienced that welcome spirit on a day-to-day basis. And I have a deep love for this place and have been visiting Vermont since I was a kid and always dreamed of living here. And that dream has come true, fortunately for me. And I just would petition those who have taken the effort not only to hold those views inside themselves, but to express them in a public forum in this way, to really consider their motivations and whether they really have anything at stake in this conversation, which I can guarantee you they don't have much at stake. And I look forward to seeing the letter that's going to be put forth I presume in a few weeks. And thank everyone for their listening and for their continued learning.
Thank you, Keith.
Yes, thank you for
Welcome to
sharing.
town.
Thank you.
So we will have this on our next agenda. I would say once that letter that is circulating.
Can Juanetta push
Sure.
that without us looking at it again if it has not arrived by the next meeting?
Push what?
Push putting it on old business if it hasn't arrived.
We can just put it on as an update. If it hasn't arrived, we can move to continue it again.
Great.
Gloria.
I imagine you will have received the letter and will have, the West River Valley Mutual Aid Working Group will contact Juanetta to be on the agenda.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you. Well, we are now at pay orders. So I would like to thank everybody for coming to our meeting tonight and hope everyone stays safe and stays well. Thank you so much.